How's it going, gamers? Welcome to Gamer Rant. My name's Kevin, and today we're doing some rant news. In fact, I got about basically four, well, it's not about, it's exactly four articles that we're going to be going over. We're going to be talking about the game industry's revenue and how it's increasing, expected to increase by the end of the year, so on and so forth. A new study on obesity and gaming, video games. I'm really skeptical on the study. I'll explain when I get to that point. And of course, we have another article talking about game addiction. And last but not least, Amazon apparently felt the greater need to sell some pirated gaming software. So let's jump into it.
Isn't it in the fucking game without a pre-order? You blind? Dude, fucking fanboyism.
Microtransactions and
DRM.
Downloadable content.
So, let's jump into the subject at hand. Alright, the first one is video game industry is booming with continued revenue. This is our article on CNBC. The video game industry is growing with new products and technology and could be worth nearly $138 billion by the end of the year. Alright? The initial purchase of a game is just the beginning of a game's monetization. Yeah, that's something every gamer loves to hear. So, like I've already stated, basically the initial purchase of a game is just the beginning of the game's monetization. It also then touches on Take-Two Interactive is up more than 60% in the last 12 months, Greenberg said. Valuations for the company will continue to rise and set a best case price target for the company of 176. That's an increase of nearly 40% from current levels. Another company to watch is Electronic Arts, said Timothy O'Shea, an analyst covering the video game sector at Jefferies, who set a 155 price target on shares. I'm going to assume that's 155K along with 176K. Gaming is taking market share from every other form of media. Meanwhile, privately held Epic Games, developer of last year's Fortnite Battle Royale game, announced on Thursday that it had made more than $1 billion from in-game revenue or by selling features during the game, such as extra costumes for players, according to the data from market research firm SuperData. Alright, the game is free to download and play, yada 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 yada. Alright, so let me give you my quick thoughts on this. You know, when it comes to games like Fortnite that are free, I'm not going to sit here and say that I despise that kind of microtransactions and DLC. The game is online, so it is free to play. So, you know, that's a staple of free-to-play games. Free-to-play games have existed long before the home consoles got an honest internet connection anyway. So, there's that one for you. So, it's nothing new within the realm of gaming, alright? It's existed on the PC for quite some time. But at the same time, it's kind of a little disheartening. And, you know, to me, when I look at it, it's like I don't play a whole lot of free-to-play games simply because there's always the possibility that the company, well, the game is no longer supported. And, you know, at some point, it's probably not going to be supported, which ultimately means the money that you put into it is ultimately wasted at the end of the day. Now, granted, yes, I'm not ignorant or arrogant, so yes, this could be years down the road, maybe even long after, you know, most of us are dead. It's also a possibility for that, which in that case, it really wouldn't affect us within of itself. So when it comes to games like Fortnite, free-to-play, it doesn't really inherently bother me in any facet that thereof. I would say the only area that it probably bothers me is when it comes to staple games like Killer Instinct and their free-to-play version. You know, I don't have a problem with, you know, fighting games such as Mortal Kombat or basically any top AAA game wanting to create a free-to-play game. But, I mean, if you're going to do that, you know, don't forget about the single player based games, so on and such forth, alright? There's that within of itself. And of course, the most disheartening thing about this entire article is the initial purchase of a game is just the beginning of a game's monetization. That's true on any and all platforms within of itself. So, whether it's free to play or a paid to play game. Yeah. So then there is a thing on ScienceDaily.com. New study shows certain video games can improve health in children with obesity. Now, I'm going to tell you I'm not going to go over the article. If you want to read it, link is in the description. I'm just going to give you my initial thoughts just from the article. The biggest issue that I have with articles like this is that they don't follow the real aspect of science, alright? So the whole idea of science, when you research something and you have findings for it, well, those findings have to be able to be replicated by another scientist, possibly even another scientist, which would then validate the claim within of itself. The biggest problem that you see with internet studies, because that's what I like to call them, is that there's really no proof that these studies were actually verified by other scientists. So, that's my thought on it within of itself. Alright, then we're going to jump to the big picture, America's debate on the severity of game addiction. Executives in professional sports fields are increasingly worrying that their athletes are becoming addicted to video games. The Washington Post reports, and the World Health Organization shares their concerns and calls the addiction a disease. The big picture, despite the concern over video game addiction, Americans participate are not so sure. Oh, I totally fucked that name up. That's not what it was, but whatever. We're just going to move on, alright? That a gaming addiction is as serious as some make it out to be. You know, we talked about this in the last Rant News a little bit. I don't think I really dived into it. Other than what I basically said is that everything can be addictive, from eating to sex to masturbation to collecting stuff. There's a reason why we have the term a hoarder, which can also dive into not just inanimate objects, but living things, cats, dogs, animals in general, alright? So addiction, I mean, even taking a shower, cleanliness, alright? Phobia of germs could within of itself be considered addiction, just as the opposite to that of not wanting to take a shower, being dirty, alright? So there's a lot of things within our world view that can actually be addictive within of itself. And, you know, the reality of it is I haven't actually seen a lot of honest articles that talk about, oh, here's an individual that's addicted, you know, it ruined their life, blah, 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 blah. And at the end of the day, I think most people probably would look at those kind of stories and be like, well, you know, they weren't responsible enough in the first place, so there's that. So then apparently Amazon had some games on their website, apparently for sale, which have somehow later turned out to be pirated. So, let's dive into this. So, survival game Frostpunk and City Builder Surviving Mars were recently listed on Amazon for $3 and $4 respectively. Given that these games are sold on other marketplaces for $30 each, gamers were understandably suspicious of these low prices. The Reddit user figured it out by digging into the game's files, noting that although an organization called Ace Media Group LLC had created its own working installer for the game, the uninstaller doesn't work. GOG-specific metadata files and Galaxy64.ell for GOG Galaxy Client integration in the installer direct explains Code Plenty Wealthy confirmed that the DRM version of the game had been purchased on GOG before being repackaged and sold to shoppers on Amazon. Now, the one thing that the article doesn't state is whether this was literally Amazon selling it, which I'm going to assume it was, because I'm pretty sure that if it was a third-party Amazon seller, that would be pretty important news, because then technically it really wouldn't be Amazon, it would have been a third-party individual. But at this point in case, we're going to have to go that it was with Amazon. In a statement, Frostpunk developer 11-Bit Studios confirmed that the listings were illegitimate. The developer added that it had contacted Amazon and that it is working on a solution that will satisfy all parties, including the people who bought the game. It also encouraged those who bought the game from Amazon to get in touch at tech support at 11bitstudios.com. So, again, clearly it wasn't an actual third-party seller, and it was actually Amazon doing this. So you have to wonder, how the fuck did they fuck that shit up? There wasn't a whole lot of news. Alright? But then again, my Rant News videos have never been that popular. In fact, next to my update videos, which I rarely do because they definitely get very short views, these probably get the second least amount of views out of all of my videos. But for those that do watch them and enjoy them, hope you enjoyed them. I hope you enjoyed this video in some fashion or form. And remember, gamers, if you're not voicing your thoughts and concerns about, well, quite frankly, the bullshit within gaming, no matter how big or small it may be, you just might be a part of the motherfucking problem.